Hello everyone there at All Things Irish. I'd like to talk a little bit about drum maintenance and drum tuning right now. Now your drum is made of skin, and the skin reacts to weather like our skin does. When our skin gets dry, it tends to stretch and get tighter. The same thing happens with the Bodhran. When the Bodhran experiences dry weather, it will tighten and stretch and become a higher pitch. When it's extra humid out, the skin will absorb the water and it will loosen and turn into a lower pitch. So we're going to talk about how to tune this if the weather's affecting your drum. Today it's extremely dry here. We have an extremely high tuned drum. We generally want our drum to be a low thump, a low pitch. This is too high for playing a drum. When the drum is tuned too high, it puts too much resistance on the wrist and it becomes hard to play well. What we're going to need is a bottle of water, and we're going to need a dry cloth. Now, to tune your drum, what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to flip the drum so the back side is like this, and into the back side we're going to pour about this much water. Any water will do, it doesn't matter what kind. Now the goal is to take our hand, put it in the drum, and rub the water so it evenly coats all the surfaces. Make sure that you go edge to edge and you hit everywhere. As long as it's completely coated, you'll be fine. So every square inch needs to have water on it. If you run out of water, it is okay to pour a little bit more in, because you can always pour the water out or take it out with a dry cloth like I do. So I'm getting the water rubbed in. Okay, I have a completely wet drum now. And in fact, I have water pooling at the bottom down here. This is normal. We're going to take our rag, we're going to dry off the inside. Make sure you get it off the wood so it doesn't damage the wood. Now with the water removed, we're going to flip the drum upside down, and we're going to add a little bit of water onto the top like this. And then use our hands to rub it in right away. Make sure that you hit all the edges. You want it completely covered. Once it's completely covered, let it sit for about 5 seconds as it soaks in. Get your towel ready, and now it's time to dry it off. So we're going to dry the Bodhran off like this. So both our sides are dry now, but water has been added to the skin. The result should be a much lower tuned drum. Now, what a lot of people get wrong about tuning their drums is immediately they want it to go to a lower pitch. But water takes time to soak into the skin, and it takes time for the pressure from the skin being tight to release. So we have to wait. And it's still damp. It's starting to go down. So you check it every 30 seconds or so as it's going down, and after about a minute you should be at the pitch that you're looking for. If you're not, you're going to add more water. As you can hear, this is still going down. While we wait for this to go down, I'd like to talk about what happens if you add too much water. If you add too much water, you will not damage the drum. However, you will end up with a drum with skin that is so loose it doesn't ring out and make a tone. So what you're going to need to do is use a hair dryer to go back and forth over the skin of the drum to take the water out and bring it back up in pitch. So with a hair dryer, you'll go back and forth like this, flip it around, do that side, and then do the other side again, flip it and do the other side again. At that point, you're going to want to check the pitch. You'll notice that it will continually go higher and higher the more passes you make with the hair dryer, and you'll stop when you've reached the desired tone that you are after. Now this drum is already starting to hit a lower pitch. It's much lower than a drum that hasn't been tuned, such as this drum here. This drum has not been tuned yet, and it sounds like this. It's a very high-pitched, pingy sound. I think we can agree that a lower-pitched Bodhran sounds more desirable than this. So this drum would need water added to it, and we'd go through the whole process we just did together. So a Bodhran that has had the water added to it has a nice low thump and sounds like this. much more desired tone. And again, if it goes too low after the water soaks in continuously over the course of a minute or two, you could always use a hairdryer to bring it back up. Now let's talk about drum maintenance. One of the other things that is overlooked about Bodhrans is when you live in a harsh weather condition, such as being in Ireland or, say, the southern part of America, where it's very dry, you're going to want to find a way to prevent water from getting in or escaping. In the case of living in Ireland or any coastal regions where it's very damp, you're going to want to find a way to keep the water from getting in, because it will continuously lower your drum. So in those cases, you're going to want to use a hairdryer, but you're also going to want to use a conditioning cream. And the same goes for dry environments. Dry environments tend to suck the water out of the drum hide. So what you're going to want to do is, again, use conditioning cream to prevent the water from escaping. Walton's does provide a conditioning cream, and we have it on our All Things Irish website. And this will allow the drum to retain its moisture and prevent moisture from getting out. So you're going to want to tune the drum to what tuning you like. You're going to put a quarter-sized dab on each side of the drum, and you're going to rub it in completely with your hands and then spread it around with a cloth. You let it soak and dry, and after that the drum will actually stay at its proper pitch more often than pulling it out of the case and finding that the weather got to it. So that's a little bit about the maintenance to it. Other than that, if you follow the rules of conditioning your drum and you have a good time with the tuning methods that we talked about, you will have a drum that plays very well and is at the right pitch that you want it to be. Thank you for watching. We'll talk to you soon.